Good afternoon and happy Thursday. It is the 19th of March. Welcome to the Natural Resources Subcommittee of the House Environment and Transportation Committee. We have three bills this afternoon, HB 1535, HB 1067, and HB 1063. We will begin with HB 1535 and you all should have gotten any amendments or reprints within your calendar. Patrick?
Um, This is the striped bass reporting bill.
Mhm.
It is amended to match the Senate bill, which I believe is either here or coming over here.
Yep.
Let's see if my notes say here.
I think I had a note about that last time as well.
Yeah, that's Senate Bill 559. This
Mhm.
is Delegate Jacobs' cross-file. He has had it amended to match the Senate bill. And basically requires recreational striped bass, fishermen, anyone who catches striped bass in the Chesapeake and coastal bays, to report the catch to the department, under regulations adopted by the department, which shall authorize reporting methods that they determine to be feasible, um, authorizing report through a mobile application to the extent that that's feasible, and then make sure that there is a reporting method that is usable by people that do not have internet access.
Okay. And I know Lydia is with the secretary and Delegate Jacobs with the speaker oh, I see Assistant Secretary Pedito. I just want to verify that these are indeed, not only, I remember Delegate Jacobs mentioning that he wanted something to match. He's going to have amendments that match the Senate bill. We'll just make sure that these are the correct amendments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My understanding is these match. And I guess, Patrick, can you confirm? Do you know?
They match. I checked it with Lydia earlier today, and she said yes,
Okay.
they do.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
No,
Are there
thank you.
any questions about 1535 or the amendments to match the Senate cross-file? Is there a desire to move the amendments?
Move the amendments.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Baker.
Baker, thank you so much. There's a first and a second. Any discussion on the amendments? Okay. All in favor of the amendments to HB 1535, say aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Thank you so much. Can I have a motion to move the bill as amended?
Move the bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Grammer. I see a wave from Delegate Baker as a second. Bill's been first and seconded. Any questions or any discussion about HB 1535 as amended? Okay. All in favor of HB 1535 as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Any opposition? Any abstentions? The bill moves favorably with amendments to full committee. Thank you all so much. Okay. Let's go to 1067. And thank you. Patrick, this is the Vice Chair's hunting lead and lead-based ammunition phase out. Yes, I know there were some amendments. I had a call about some amendments earlier this week for which, Madam Vice Chair, I respectfully rejected that had to do with essentially managing or essentially legislating the gut pile, which I thought was unnecessary. It was to do so to help, I think, keep lead ammunition as a way to keep lead ammunition by simply requiring the removal of a gut pile. I told the individual in question that that was not the will of the sponsor. So, Madam Vice Chair.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm unaware of that amendment or where it came from because we haven't.
No,
discussed
it was a suggestion that was brought to my office.
Gotcha. Yeah,
for
it wasn't something that that was brought to me. So
Nope, I got you. Patrick, the amendments.
We should have them. I don't have a copy here for some reason.
Okay, I have here that the
You should have them.
I do have them, but I do see that something seems to be a little different. I thought there was a desire to move it back to 2031. It is, the bill says 2029. Would the vice chair or assistant secretary want to discuss?
right, and I apologize. I've got MDE on another call going back and forth about one of our colleagues' bills. So could you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. So the printout that I have from yesterday at 10:51 p.m., before I know the department wanted to discuss, and maybe these are the wrong amendments, wanted to discuss a 2031 date phase out to accommodate for, I believe, 22s. And I see this doesn't have that. And I also see a civil fine not to exceed 750, which I thought was supposed to be 250.
Is Kristen on the call? I think Kristen put those. Kristen, what's that? I apologize. Was
No,
that you,
it's
or
Patrick.
was
This
that-
is Patrick's subject matter.
Okay. I was told by someone that whatever
Okay.
amendments you have before you are the amendments that have been agreed upon. So I got to be honest, there are people talking to me on all sides right now.
I'm sorry, can I bring up Assistant Secretary Petito? Would he know, Madam Vice
Sure.
Chair?
I actually, excuse me one second. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Assistant Secretary. I know last meeting we discussed a phase out that would go to 2031 because there was a worry that one particular firearm would not potentially have a lead alternative in the next 4 or 5 years, and that there was going to be an accommodation made to push to 2031. One, and then two, I thought I'm sorry, Madam Vice Chair.
No, I'm so sorry. My last recollection was a conversation with the chair, and I apologize. After a meeting with a whole bunch of other people, my understanding was that you and others were okay with the 750, and I had already talked to DNR about, and that was a build up to 750 over time with a smaller amount to begin with, and that I had talked to DNR about that taking it to 30 but not 31. That was what I understood to be our agreement.
Okay, so it does
I
say
feel
20.
like there's another amendment somewhere that we're not seeing.
Well, Madam
Yeah.
Vice Chair, can I just tell you what's in the bill now so we can agree together what you would like? So the bill says currently and again, I have an amended bill as of last night, 10:51 p.m. And it says that except as provided in paragraph 2 of the subsection on or before July 1st, 2029. Should that be 2030 or 2031?
2030, we agreed to an extra year.
Okay. That's one. Then the second says a person who violates this regulation of the department's requiring the use of non-lead ammunition for hunting for a first offense is subject to a civil fine not exceeding 750. I thought we had a discussion that it was up to, the first was 250, up to 250. Let me go back to my text messages here. I get way too many.
So these are civil penalties. I do believe, and I don't know if the chair is listening to this now or not, but I thought this is what the chair had said we'd agreed to, the Gil-Jen amendment that would be civil penalty with a fine up to $750, no misdemeanor or imprisonment, and it could have a prepay that would be significantly less than that. But it could be at the highest $750.
Yeah, I have a note that says a prepayable fine up to
Yes.
$250.
$250 would be the prepayable fine of that $750.
But we don't set the prepayable, the district court does.
Okay,
Okay.
so well, of course, counsel is an expert, but to the assistant secretary and to the vice chair, should this say a civil fine not exceeding $750, or should it say something else?
So for our part, Madam Chair, the up to provision covers us.
Okay,
As committee counsel said, what we do is annually submit a fine and bond schedule to the chief judge, and then the court determines whether we're reasonable. And for what it's worth, the analog to this in the waterfowl non-lead provisions that have existed since the 90s,
right.
we currently have a $250 prepayable option. Now, that is a misdemeanor. The
Mhm.
way this is worded avoids the criminal misdemeanor
Got
provision.
it.
So we're okay with this.
Okay,
And let's note that this is for a first offense.
yes.
Yes, and thank you so much for clarifying that, Madam Chair. That is where I thought we were on this, so
Yep,
I think.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And then, so just so that I know, this provision 3, line 24, covers 10408, the number 3 that's been removed.
That is in 4 years.
Got it.
That is a double drafting to,
Got
that
it.
takes effect in 2031, so actually 5 years.
Okay, so
January,
this,
January 1st, 2031, 4.5
Okay.
years.
okay. All righty. Madam Vice Chair, is there anything else with this bill that needs?
No, the
Can
only
we-
other thing that we had agreed with, and I'm looking at the report now, I'm not sure, again, this was absolutely final, but I think it is. That we did agree to let DNR determine the
That's in
sequence
there.
of animals. Okay, yep,
That's in there.
all
It says
right.
the department shall adopt regulations to carry out this subsection.
Okay, great. Then I think we are good. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. You're quite welcome. So the first, I think, voice amendment, because it's not on here, is
Well,
to
can
amend.
we clarify something with Paul real quick?
Yes, sir.
Paul, looking at the reprint, if we can bring it up.
Meredith, can you please bring it up?
All right, to go down a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, stop. Perfect. All right, now, as we go down here, Paul, can you check to see that these dates are right, or if we need to extend them, or if we need to get rid of this altogether? July 1st, 2027 for hunting pen raised birds on regulated shooting areas.
Is that already? That's current law, right?
No, that's a special section.
Oh, I see. Section 3.
Yeah. If it's, I guess if it's acceptable to the vice chair, to the sponsor, our preference would be that be struck and that we would set the rollout in regulation so that we could be a little bit more adaptive as it relates to the manufacturer rollout.
That is acceptable to me, if it's acceptable to the subcommittee, just with the intent that we get there on time. Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy Secretary.
Yes, ma'am.
So an amendment, Patrick, would be to strike section 3.
Correct.
Okay. All righty. So
And I'll add
let's,
some clarifying language to the regulatory authority to, including regulations to roll out the implementation of this, something like that.
and does that not, is that not covered by line on page 2, line 24, that the department shall adopt regulations to carry out the subsection?
It's covered, but it just makes it explicit.
There. Okay. With that, let's go through.
And I'll run that language by you, Paul.
Yes. So we'll have to do, I think, these amendments piece by piece since there's been some changes. So I move the amendment on page 20, page 3, line 24, a person who violates the regulations of the department requiring the use of non-ammunition for hunting for a first offense is subject to a civil fine not exceeding $750. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, any discussions on that amendment? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition?
See where this is.
Okay. Was that an opposition by Delegate Baker? Yes. Minus Baker. Okay. Second amendment, page 3, line 17. Amend to strike July 1st, 2029 and insert July 1st, 2030. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the amendment changing the provision from 2029 to 2030? Okay. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Any abstention? Opposition is negative. You oppose moving the date out to 2030 versus 2029, Delegate Jacobs?
I'd like to go further than 2030.
Fair enough. I thought we had agreed to 31, but we didn't. I do have a quick question. Although the department shall adopt this in regulations, if there is not an alternative ammunition for certain firearms by 2030, would this bill still make it illegal to have ammunition that otherwise wouldn't have an alternative? Vice Chair Guyton.
Yeah, so that provision was taken out of the bill at the request of DNR. They felt like they were comfortable with making the schedule in a way as they were working with manufacturers that they would make sure that that was available. I would say, just for public record, that if we get there the year before or whatever, before the last one, which I think is the only one that there's any concern about, and there is no available ammunition, I am happy to come and work on the bill and reform it so that that's appropriate. DNR does not believe that that's a problem, though.
Okay.
All right, hold on a second here. We have on
Yes.
page 3 in lines 20 to 23, language that authorizes lead ammunition if non-lead is not commercially available for the specific firearm.
Well, there you go. That satisfies that. Okay.
I just don't think that DNR wanted that in there. I'm fine with it. That's where we started, but you might want to check with the deputy secretary. I believe they didn't want to be in the business of making that determination, but if they're okay with it, I'm certainly okay with it.
No, I thought they did. Secretary, Assistant Secretary.
So the flexibility in developing a regulatory framework for this helps significantly.
Right.
For no other reason than it gives us the ability to define what commercially available is. Because we were worried that if one manufacturer was producing, one box of 22 rimfire in non-toxic ammo, that's technically commercially available. So we want to have the flexibility to kind of define what that means and not create a model where we're frankly being the bullet police. So
lines 20 to 23 on page 3, number 2 of E, you want to keep.
well, it's in there now. We could live with it because that regulatory flexibility is built into the rest of the bill.
Okay. Delegate Odom. You're on mute, Delegate Odom. There
Having
you
a little difficulty with that mute
No
button.
problem. Take your time.
But I hesitate to ask this question, but it's just for clarification for me, if it would be challenging with that last line that we were just discussing about the ammo being compatible with the weapon. Would that create a challenge with having the lead being utilized because of that factor at the same time that others are conforming to the regulation? It just seemed like it would be a challenge to enforce that. You know, you actually could have one person next to another, just one firing lead and another.
That's true. So I know right now, given that lead is not allowed in the wildlife preservation areas, DNR already has the ability to regulate this. I don't know if the vice chair wanted to add something.
Thank you. I was going to offer what you just said, but also delegate that's already the practice, because there are some animals you can shoot with lead and there's some that you cannot. So that's exactly what we're just trying to get to, the point where they're all in the same space.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we adopted the 2030. Okay.
Yes.
Now let's go to I think we're doing, no, we did line 24. I have the note on there. Now it is the amendment, page 3, line 25, E4. The department shall adopt regulations to carry out this subsection.
Well, this is
Was
doing
that
is-
already there?
This is putting the sunset on the $750 fine for the first offense,
Line 25, page 3.
after line 25.
Okay, I'm just making sure we don't have to put adopt E4. Got my notes.
E4 is fine.
E4 was already in the bill. Okay, we're
Yeah.
fine. So, motion to strike page 3, line 26 through 32 to page 4, lines 1 through 7. Is there a second?
I would say 1 through 2. It's unless Paul disagrees.
Section 3, I'm sorry, it's section 3, lines 27 through 32, correct?
Correct there, yes.
All right. Okay, I move to strike page 3, section 3, lines 26 through 32.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Any abstentions? Moved. And then I would move to, because the rest of that follows. Page 4, lines 1 through 7, move to strike. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of striking page 4, lines 1 through 7, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Any abstentions? I think by this time we have all of those amendments. Can I have a motion to move the bill as amended?
Madam Chair?
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the bill as amended? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Baker, Jacobs, Grammer.
Mm.
Thank you. Bill moves favorably to full committee. Okay. Good job. All right. HB 1063. Per my notes, the last meeting, we adopted 3 amendments. Amendment number 1 was adding the city, Delegate Rosenberg's bill 1324 to the bill, allowing bow hunting on Sundays. Amendment number 2 was adding Wacomico County's local desire to repeal Sunday hunting. And amendment number 3 was removing the 3 to dusk provision in Montgomery County. And I understand now the Vice Chair Guyton has amendments to offer.
Thank you. Is this one, Kristen? I think it is.
No,
If you could,
No.
that was you too. Could you pull
Yeah.
up those amendments, please, Patrick?
it would be Meredith.
Meredith, do we have those amendments?
I don't think I received those amendments today.
You sent them out
that-
last night. Checked last night.
Okay, hold on one second.
Okay,
Thank you.
I can try and pull them. Yeah, it'd be easier for her.
It might actually be easier if someone else pulled them up. I hate to say, I have been having incredible inbox technical difficulties the past 2 days. I apologize. I'm looking for them now, but
Here, Corey.
someone else might be a little quicker.
They should have been in the
I can help if someone gets them
reprint.
to them to me. I can pull them up.
Yeah, it should be from Vice Chair Guyton. It's a changing of some definitions and as well as a change in provision of yards.
Yeah, I wouldn't have them otherwise. I would just say
Oh.
if someone sent them to me, I'm happy to help.
Oh.
Just assist the technical
Mhm.
stuff.
Okay, you got
Vice Chair Guyton, do you have the amendment number?
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm getting it.
Okay, I just sent them to Kristen.
Oh, there.
Okay.
You took care of it.
Thank you, everyone. Really
Thank
sorry.
you so much, Patrick.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen.
Just bear with me. It's coming.
Yeah, we have been having
I have a
inbox
lot of-
issues.
Well, I have a lot of
Something has
windows.
been
open.
deleting our emails.
Okay, so I do need to, I'm sending a request to,
Permission,
yeah,
Meredith.
I think I have it. You
Kristen,
said 1060, what?
1063.
Okay. And Patrick, just let me know, when to stop scrolling.
Start at page 2.
Okay,
Actually, it's all on page 2.
There we go.
whoops, well,
There we go.
that's,
Oops, little
sorry.
mistake on the amendment because my mistake.
Mine's- There it is, right
all
there.
right, I'm not gonna touch anything else.
Oh, no, you're perfect. It's
No, I keep hitting it and it goes away, so, all right.
If
Okay,
I can go
Patrick.
through this real quick, the first one. The destruction of agricultural crops and or landscaping is struck and it's supposed to also strike including ornamental landscaping. Having landscaping in the line twice screwed me up a little bit, but that's what the strike is supposed to be.
Okay.
So it's supposed to read the destruction of agricultural crops caused by deer.
Okay, so to Madam Vice Chair, does that include like a flower farm? Would agricultural crops
I've-
include a flower farm?
I would have guessed that would be an agricultural crop if it's for agricultural economic purposes, but I guess Patrick can answer that.
It would be, yeah, it would be
Mhm.
landscaping. I mean,
I'd have
in
to
that-
look, I would have to look it up. It's not landscaping.
It
What
would
do you
be
call
an
that?
agricultural enterprise, right, Patrick?
I don't know for sure, but I could look
Mhm.
it up, but I would suspect yes.
Okay, if we can clarify that, somebody,
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that we could probably strike the agricultural crops too, because they already have
a
a
permit,
not deer damage, that's this,
crop damage permit.
Mm.
yeah, crop damage permit.
Madam Chair, Deputy Secretary has his
Assistant-
hand up. He might be
Yes,
able to
I have
answer.
it. Yep.
Okay.
Assistant Secretary Petito, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair. Yeah, we would consider anything that somebody monetizes is considered agriculture, and so we're fine with this amendment, so long as that stays in. There's some nuance there that we think it'd be important to keep it in. coupled to Romanet 1, that all works.
Okay, so removing or landscaping and removing including ornamental landscape.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right, Second Amendment.
That is down in line 27,
Mm-hmm.
26 and 27.
Yep.
Currently, it's just a trail designated for equestrian use. We add a trail designated for bicycling, hiking, equestrian use, or other active or passive recreational use.
Okay. I thought it would just be active or passive recreational use, but we want to make sure we specify them.
Active or passive would work.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that's the Second Amendment. And I'm sorry, Vice Chair Guyton.
We
Mm.
agreed to 150 yards here instead of 25, Patrick.
Yeah, I was about to make that the next one. Go ahead.
Okay.
Is 25 yards to 150 yards. Correct?
Oh, are you asking, if you're asking me, that was my understanding that we
Okay.
agreed.
Patrick, do you have that amendment? We can also make it a voice amendment.
I do now.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have those two amendments. Were there any other ones?
No, I don't believe so.
We
Okay.
do have an amendment from Delegate Grice to strike the migratory waterfowl.
Okay, so let's take care of these first, and then we can have that discussion. So have a motion. I'd like to move to accept the amendment on page 2, line 13, Roman numeral 2, to say the designation of agricultural crops caused by deer. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I can't see everybody. Any opposition? Aye.
I got a question about that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
On, and this might be best for, Paul Pedito to answer. On, you're striking out this landscaping and in the bill on, I know on state parks and things of that nature, you got a lot of landscaping and grass and you got a lot of deer. How will this affect that?
Thanks, Delegate. Yeah, this is only private land.
Yes.
We have the capacity to manage deer on the public properties without the permit that's prescribed here.
That's a different permit.
It's actually our authority
Right.
built into Title 10 generally.
So, but you can on your land, on public land, you can do what you need to do if there are deer eating down the landscaping or whatnot.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you, Delegate Jacobs, for the clarification. So let's go to the amendment number 2. Amendment number 2, line 24, Roman numeral 2. The amendment first changes the former language and changes it to yards of a department trail designated for, and it was just a question, but it's been added, for bicycling, hiking, equestrian use, or other active or passive recreational use. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that amendment? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? No opposition. And then the third amendment is the change from 25 yards to 150 yards. And from what I understand, this is fine. So,
Move the amendment.
thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. And that moves favorably. Okay, so now we are at, Patrick, you said there was an amendment offered.
Yes, by Delegate Grice to take out the,
So somebody
The-
on the committee has to submit that amendment.
Can we explain the amendment?
Thank you, Patrick.
it strikes migratory waterfowl from the bill.
Is there a desire to move the amendment? Delegate Jacobs? You're on mute, Delegate
Is
Jacobs.
this the amendment that was offered, I mean, the from the roll caucus?
Yeah, I believe it's so.
Well, they supported the bill minus migratory waterfowl. However, and I guess they changed their position because on a call on 219, they actually supported and moved this bill. And then I think when they was ready to provide a letter, they provided this letter. So so this was, yes, if Delegate Grice offered it, it's per the letter he wrote for the bill in support minus migratory waterfowl. Are you offering the amendment?
Yes,
Delegate Jacobs?
yes.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to explain my no vote briefly, and this has been really hard, but I've had a lot of discussion. I first off, I think my district clearly wants me to vote against this. But I've talked to a lot of people interested in this topic, and there are certainly those who want to adopt this amendment. But after a lot of research with people who are very much more knowledgeable than I am, and I've learned a lot about this, I don't think there is a great threat. I think we'll be able to maintain these populations even without, if we don't adopt the amendment. And I think the agency will have some flexibility as well to deal with this problem. And certainly we could always come back next year. So it's been tough for me to grapple with this one, but I'm going to be a no on the amendment. And I just wanted to say that up front.
Thank you. And I know that we had a first and a second. We haven't done an official roll call, but I hear Delegate Grammer saying he's a no. Delegate Odom. Take your time.
Again, I just wanted to make, get clarity on this matter regarding the migratory fowl language. And I think I do understand the intent is to preserve the population of that particular wildlife. I don't know if we can necessarily control that in this bill. I'm not sure with my being newly engaged with this subject, but am I correct in that our vote in terms of the law within Maryland, where we're engaged with, does not necessarily regulate the entire population of the migratory bird?
That's actually absolutely correct. It's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Right. So with understanding that, and I've also heard briefly from recent comment that, this is something that we have the authority to engage with locally, if I'm understanding correctly as well, because whatever restrictions are posed regionally or federally, we have the ability to not restricted greater than that. I mean, we can restrict it greater than that, which is set at a level at the federal level or the regional level.
Okay, Delegate Odom, you can have this job next year. I'm impressed. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
That is right. So if the federal government sets the framework to, for instance, 45 days and two bird bag limit, the state could decide that they want to do 30 and 1. So they can be more restrictive. That is correct? Okay.
So with my limited understanding of that, I think that I believe that we can address this matter to the satisfaction of the population that has a concern, I think.
Okay.
You know? All right.
Okay, so you are, I'm sorry, so we will take an actual vote. So Delegate Grammer, it was moved, the amendment was moved by Delegate Jacobs. It was seconded by Vice Chair Guyton. I hear that Delegate Grammer is a no for moving migratory waterfowl. Delegate Odom, I hear you're yes or no?
Before you go any further,
Yes,
I'd like to say a couple more things.
absolutely.
And also, you know, I'd like for Mr. Petito to answer him if he would, but you know, as the bill's drafted, it removes the prohibition on Sunday migratory game bird hunting and states that all departments shall allow youth, apprentice, seniors, and students to hunt Canada geese on Sundays. But does this allow you to authorize the regulation of hunters to hunt any migratory bird on Sundays?
Assistant Secretary.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Delegate. Yeah, the way we read the bill, it authorizes the department to allow, should the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Atlantic Flyway Council authorize Sunday hunting for ducks, for example.
So it removes the prohibition on Sunday migratory hunting. So the next question, this would also include, and I've brought this up a couple times, ducks, geese, snow geese, doves, coots, woodcocks, rails, and snipes. And those seasons actually start as early as September 1st. It's dove season comes in September 1st every year. And it could end as late as April 15th when snow geese season ends. Is that true?
That's the framework that the federal government offered last year. If I could, just as we do with the current deer season models, we don't have every Sunday within the framework that we operate open. Like the Sunday at the end of the deer firearms season, for example, we could have deer hunting on that Sunday. We do not. Some of this is built around our public input process and the regulations.
Man, I understand that, but I'm just saying the way the bill is written with migratory game birds, all of those species that I mentioned are part of the game bird under the definition of migratory game birds in Maryland. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay, so technically, the season could start as doves do on September 1st every year, and it could end as late as April 15th when snow geese season ends. So it's not like it's a 30-day season. That's what I'm trying to get you to acknowledge. There's more to this than a 30 or 45-day season. And the other thing, another question, the migratory game bird Sunday hunting it appears in a different section of the bill from time restrictions. So would the migratory game bird hunting be subject to the 10:30 a.m. and the 3 p.m. time restrictions as it is basically with the deer? So how would the migratory be done as far as time goes?
We do not read the bill as drafted, including the 10:30 restriction on migratory game birds. There are some built-in restrictions there. Delegate, as you probably know, for doves, for example, you know, the noon restriction.
Yeah, I understand doves are noon, but the doves have never been allowed on Sundays before. And the other, because of the ability for, say, the horse riders and other people to recreate, that was the reasoning for the 10:30 shut-off. And certainly, there's going to be a whole lot more shooting in the state of Maryland if this bill passes with migratory waterfowl hunting than an occasional shot in the woods, as currently is the practice with deer hunting. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, except that, remember, this is private land only. Our parks are not in play here.
Well, the deer hunting, for the most part, is on private land.
Man, the vast majority of the decent waterfowl hunting would be as well.
Right, but there's a difference in actually the hunting, whereas it's a barrage of gunfire typically on waterfowl, whereas there's a single shot typically on a deer in the woods. Would you agree with that?
I would, but I'm going to distinguish the ammunition they're using too.
Well, that's not really part of my question. I just want
Sorry.
I want people to understand that it's not a single shot that's going off when you're hunting waterfowl. That can be, who knows, 15 shots going off at one time if there's enough guys in the blind that are, people in the blind hunting. So it's going to be a difference as far as how the public is going to hear this.
Is this private property still?
Yeah,
Okay, just
absolutely.
clarifying, it's private property.
It doesn't matter. I mean, every farm's rented in some of these counties for hunting. So just, they'll be used, and there's going to be a whole lot more gunfire going on all over if this bill passes than an occasional shot in the woods. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I just want to make sure that the assistant secretary either agrees with that or doesn't agree with that.
And after he answers the question, we'll continue with the vote, please. Mr. Pedito.
Yeah, there's no doubt that 20,000 waterfowl hunters versus 20,000 deer hunters, you're going to have more shots fired, as an example.
Thank you.
Okay. Continuing the votes on the motion to remove waterfowl from the bill, I have the Delegate Jacobs move the motion. Vice Chair Guyton seconded. Delegate Grammer was a no. Delegate Odom was a no. Delegate Baker. Delegate Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes to remove waterfowl.
Um,
That's the motion on the
I
table.
understand. I have to agree with Mr. Pedito on the different types of ammunition. And yes, I'll go along with the removal.
Okay.
Yes.
Delegate Holmes.
Yes.
Yes to remove migratory waterfowl from the bill. Can I get a clarification?
Abstain. Can
Chair Corman.
Yeah, so thank you, Madam Chair. So just a reminder to folks that the Vice Chair and I sit on every subcommittee, and the way votes work in subcommittee, although there are only recommendations, that's the majority of the subcommittee members present is what's required. And so I'm happy to be here today to vote against the amendment regarding waterfowl, because I think the subcommittee had a good product in front of it that included a wide range of wildlife, and we don't need to take out waterfowl. So I am voting against the amendment, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Baker, yes. Jacobs, yes. Vice Chair Guyton is a yes. Delegate Baker, you still have your hand?
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at here on the screen. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, take my vote to an, can I change my vote to an abstention? I'll just leave it yes, just leave it yes.
Sure. Delegate Odom.
Just for further clarification, a vote of no in this case would be consistent with not removing
That's
the
correct.
water fountain. Okay.
That's
And,
correct. Delegate Holmes, I just want to clarify, you are not voting on this.
I abstain, Madam Chair.
Okay. So that's 4 noes, 1 abstentions, and 3 yes. The motion fails.
Move the bill as amended, Madam Chair.
Second, is there any other discussion on the bill as amended? Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is Kent County still in the bill?
Yes.
Yes, I was asked not to remove them.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of HB 1063 as amended, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Delegate Jacobs. Thank you. Thank you all for this work. I know it is a very interesting topic, but I just want to remind people of a couple of things. One, I will always happily stand up and say, I am not a hunter. But what we do as legislators is we set policy for the state. And the policy in the state was around Sunday hunting. And this was an issue. I'm glad that we could come together to work through this issue. Second thing, I want to remind individuals, everybody, and everybody watching that this is 3 years. This is essentially a 3-year pilot per se. And if in 3 years, the Department of Natural Resources can manage this authorization that we have given them for Sunday, that they now do regulatory Monday through Saturday. They will have to give their report, and then they will have to come back in 2030 to get the actual legislative permission to do this on Sunday through regulation. That is the deal here. And so this is only 3 years. We are going to monitor and look at this in 3 years. And in 3 years, the DNR is going to have to show that they can be a trusted entity to manage the work that they do 6 days a week on one more day. And that is why I am comfortable with this. If they mess up, they lose all of these provisions and we go backwards and things just go as they were before this bill. And so that's why I am comfortable with this. But this is a conversation that has happened year after year after year that I've been here. And it's been year after year after year since Delegate Holmes, I would say, has been here, and Delegate Jacobs. So I thank everybody for their work. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
See ya.